California. So people are relocating. It'd be interesting if we can get a farm and the for the business that people are closing and just farm to that specific. I don't even know if we can do that. But a lot of companies are shutting down and they're moving, they're moving their companies somewhere else and everyone's working permanently at home.
And we've seen that with people working at home. I mean, they could literally live anywhere now. So they don't have to be geographically, next to their job or have to worry about traffic. They could actually live where they want to live.
Correct.
Carla, good morning. How are you? Mr. Dennis Sid, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
Doing big things.
Trying to be like my Uncle Rick down there.
Nice. So you just got some new escrows, yeah, or some new listings?
Yes, I have a listing, a duplex in Long Beach, closed on the escrow, I think a week and a half ago it was a house that was under development for like 3 years in my neighborhood. So I called up the owner to see if he was open to an offer and I found the buyer for it. So they're in the process of fixing it up right now.
Wow, the listing and the buyer. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Alexandria, how you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's new? What's the word?
The word is good morning.
How did all your offers fare out? You get anything in escrow yet?
We got something open yesterday, but then my client pulled out yesterday, so we had to cancel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was there any specific reason?
She went at night and she didn't feel comfortable, and then we ended up finding out that someone had passed away 2 years ago, and the realtor didn't disclose that to us, so we decided to pull out. She didn't feel safe with that.
With the passing away in the property?
Yeah.
How did they pass away? Did that matter?
In the bathtub.
Oh, like assisted, self-assisted?
I don't know. That's all I know is it was in the bathtub.
Gotcha. Some people are really sensitive about that and some aren't. We've had priests go out to properties and bless them after closing escrow, since there was some death in the property. Interesting. They should probably put that in the agent comments just to let people know so you don't waste any of your time.
Yeah.
Would be helpful. Bummer. Well, there's about 2 or 3 more houses on the market.
There's one that's one that you think about, like, do you really want to live in a house that someone died in a bathtub?
I don't take baths. I'm comfortable with it.
But I'll just convert it to a shower.
Get rid of that bathtub. We'll just remodel the bathroom. We'll come and bless the house, remodel the bathroom. We'll be good.
Yeah.
Mr. Rick, good morning. How are you, sir?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, unfortunately, I am. How are you?
Oh,
How was your scripts and role play this morning?
they were great. Give me a sec.
Connie, good morning. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
I'm blessed.
Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Rob. How are you?
Man, I'm really blessed today. I had some friends last week that aren't so blessed. They didn't wake up. So every day you get up in the morning, man, it's a new day. Thank God I'm here. I'm alive. I have a job. I'm able to help people, with their financial wealth. There's a lot of great things going on. So tomorrow's Red Day. That's pretty cool. We have some cool events going on tomorrow. We're fishing on Friday. I think everyone got the email about the webinar tomorrow at 2:30 for the Color of Law. That's going to be pretty amazing. So you'll get more of those today. I'll be sending out some text messages and emails later today for the color of law as well, if you're not familiar with it.
What is that exactly?
That's a great question. So there is
Let me Google it.
Richard, gotcha. So Richard Rothstein wrote a book called The Color of Law. It's a conversation around bias in the housing in America, right? So he kind of shined a big flashlight on, redlining and discrimination within the housing industry, and created some laws around that. So the guy who actually wrote the book is going to be live on a webinar with us tomorrow at 2:30. So it'd be really interesting to have that conversation and see where we are today on that, and then collectively, as a group of realtors and our company, like what could we do to, move past that to make sure that we're not contributing to the problem and that we are more of a solution to that issue.
Okay.
Great conversation.
Cool. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. So
I've actually been reading that book.
you're actually reading the book?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you get to meet the author tomorrow at 2:30.
How exciting.
So yeah, we were hoping to have him in person, but due to COVID and he's a little older, so we're gonna do a webinar. It should be pretty awesome. So that's at 2:30 tomorrow. So red days from 9 to 11. Probably grab some lunch and then come on back or get on your phones and be on that webinar. Be a part of that. It'd be pretty great. And then fishing on Friday. If you guys haven't signed up to go fishing, we're going fishing on Friday. Fishing Friday with Remo.
Where do I find time to sell real estate?
No reception.
We all have the same 24 hours, Rick.
Yep.
I'm gonna be busy. I'm gonna be busy throwing up over the side of a boat.
Well, post that on social media. Maybe someone will contact you and wish you well and then sell their house.
I'm gonna be supplying the chum for the fishing.
So awesome. Well, so what's something great? Someone's got something great happening in their lives this week. What's new? Adam got a new listing in Compton?
We got a
Now
new
we gotta
listing in
clarify.
Compton.
Compton. Congratulations, Sunshine. What else? What else is new and great? Candice, what's doing great?
I'm driving, so I apologize. You can't see my face. New and exciting. I don't know. Everything's so new and exciting. A lot of changes with just me personally. My daughter and I do a national charity league. When you talk about where do you find the time, Rick? I don't know. So it's a national organization, and I'm a GLAD, which means that I'm an advisor to this year's group. So that could be scary, of girls. So that's exciting for me because I love working with teenagers and girls, and so that should be fun. So I just found out that I got that job, so which is super fun. So yeah.
That's pretty awesome. What an honor to be a role model for all the young women growing up today.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great to make sure that they understand that, their lives are busy. Like, they've got practices and they've got school and homework and all these things, but we still need to take the time to give back to the community. So it's super important, and we're creating good leaders for the future. So super excited about that.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of what leaders do. They help incubate other leaders. So thank you for that. I'm actually wearing a t-shirt called Leadership Incubator. we believe we believe very strongly in that at Keller Williams. I think it says Pacific Estates on the back, right? So, at Pacific Estates, we want to breed leaders. Think about all the leaders that, especially under your husband's leadership, right? Starting in Long Beach, what we've created from Pacific Estates, the actual brand. I mean, launching another market center, Cerritos, launching another one, La Mirada, and then all the leaders that come out of that to come to lead other things in their community, their lives, at church, other market centers, other businesses. I mean, we are a leadership incubator. So being in the right
Yeah.
environment breeds that. And it all started back with the Pacific Estates Long Beach, which is pretty sweet. So it's a big accomplishment. So
Yeah, I mean, the amount, the growth that we saw just, you know, with Scott Cotto when he joined our office in Long Beach, you know, he was one of our first ones that joined and saw the vision. And then for him then to go to Josh, who was not even in real estate before, and he's become such a great leader in launching and helping David with Cerritos, and then Scott and Josh doing La Mirada. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, great leaders there, and the core agents that are part of it were amazing as well. So yeah, super exciting.
yeah, it is exciting. I'm grateful to be a part of it. So awesome. Well, welcome, Dave. We were just talking about you. Ears are burning.
Good morning. Yeah, sorry, I had to tie something up real quick. What did I miss?
Oh, we were talking about Candace getting involved in the charity event and mentoring and helping young women manage their school and their work and their lives and still giving back. And then we're talking a little about leadership, and then I'm wearing a t-shirt #leadership incubator, which is Pacific Estates, right? We are a leadership incubator. We talked about Long Beach, growing Cerritos, growing La Mirada, and then our agents breaking off to do bigger and better things within the community and in their lives in general. And then, obviously that ties into Red Day, which is obviously tomorrow, right? Which company creates leaders that go out and give back to the community. Even if it's just one day a year, it's still a big impact to have, 180,000, 160,000 people out there doing something awesome. So having that type of company, that type of culture is huge. So
I totally agree. And also this inner circle, I mean, that's all about leaders leading leaders, and look at the people that come on and show up every single Wednesday over and over and over again. And I was thinking about it, it's an inner circle mastermind, and I know I see Remo there, and I came to the award ceremony, and I see people inside the office that have GCIs of $500,000 plus. And I think that this forum right here, when you have people that are earning that kind of gross commission income, this mastermind should really be a vacuum to allow everybody in that office to generate that kind of gross commission income plus, because if they can do it, you can do it. And I'm a firm believer that if you read about it or watch it or go to a class, you might not get what it takes to execute or implement. But if you see what these people are doing and you work right there in the office, then I'm a firm believer that you can do what you see others doing. And so there's no reason why everybody in that office shouldn't be at the 500,000 GCI mark. And on that note, if you're not at the $500,000 in GCI mark, it's probably just something as simple as a skill or a habit. So who out there wants to know how Remo's making $500,000 and what's in your way from getting there?
Well, that, Adam and I were talking about that, we talk about that consistently, about who's doing what. And I know Gary Keller was a big advocate of that. Like, hey, who's doing what on a really high level? Let's look at what they're doing, analyze it, and let's just copy what they're doing so we could all do it together. And that's why he wrote the MREA book for those systems and models. But we talk about systems and models all day. And we were actually talking about Remo about a week ago. Well, we talk about him all the time. Some of it's good, some of it's not so great. So just kidding. We want to know a little bit about it. I mean, he just had a really great Mother's Day doing some really great things. And we're like, well, wow, we were doing some cool things too, but how do we step it up to another level? And being in an environment, we actually see him doing it. Now we have some new systems and tools that we're actually using next year to get even better. So our people get touched even more, and he's willing to share all that stuff with us. And so is everybody else. So it's really cool that we have an environment where we can actually do that. So that's part of the secret to his success, is the amount of love and care and touches that he gives his people. And they all love him and they give him lots of referrals. So we want that same love.
I agree with you
Well,
100%. And I think that when you look at, yesterday, I went and did a sort of the first time I had taught this, or led this conversation, I should say, that I did 44 weeks in a row a few years back. And still our marketing, you guys know Omar, he does marketing and helps people with design, and he helps people with database and management and things like that, and creating content to send out to your database. And I asked him, I said, what's the number one thing that you see that our real estate agents that are coming into your office, calling you, texting you, or requesting a face-to-face, what do they need? What are they lacking? And the answer still is no database, and no database management, no systems in place. And so, how are you going to grow a business without having a database? And you mentioned Gary Keller, and I remember Gary Keller's famous for saying, if you don't have a database, who in the hell are you marketing to? And the database could be very simple, but I think there's no excuse not to have one. So in other words, even myself, not too many years back, because I knew I had a sort of a patience issue, and I wasn't interested in being on a computer, I used the old school Gary in a box, where I got a metal shoe box, and I had all the months and 3x5 cards in there with the people's names. And I would talk to you, I'd say, hey, Rob, great conversation. You want me to follow up with you in 3 weeks? I'd put you 3 weeks down the line. And then every day I walk in, I call the numbers and with the notes on the 3x5 card. So there's no excuse not to have one. And if you're at that level and you want to go to the next level, you can always pay someone $150, $200 to set it up for you. It's not all that expensive to do that.
Gotcha. Well, we have a system called Command, and if people aren't using it, I would really highly suggest actually getting to know it. We'll do workshops every Friday on Command. There's actually a tech training literally every single day on Command as well, to learn the ins and outs of actually building that database. So, obviously the 145 from Never Ending Referrals is, first you have to build it and organize it, right? Number 2 is you have to feed it daily. And then number 3 is you have to communicate with it systematically. And number 4 is like, what are you going to do to work all the business that comes out of that? Command answers all of those questions at a high level. And that's why we spent all this time and energy building it. And Nick Baldwin does a really great job of teaching that in Command 101.teachable. If you guys haven't taken that, it's the first step of understanding Command 101.teachable. And then once you get that down, there's Command 201, which there's a small fee for, but it's worth every penny to go ahead and actually learn how to master that at a high level. So database is key. It's the only reason we're in business, is to build that database. So who's attracting or adding more people to their database every week? Like, who's doing that at a really great level that could maybe talk a little bit more about that? Adam?
Rob, going back to the Mother's Day thing, I think it's an important. I had a conversation with Adam, and maybe Adam, we just be transparent and share what was happening, kind of how you guys had it set up, because I think it's one thing to build a database and obviously communicate and all that stuff. We all get that, but I think it's how do you convert the now business, and I think that's a really important conversation to have, because if you think long term, the database is definitely the way to go, right? And we all know that. However, if I need a paycheck to pay my bills, next month or 3 months from now, right? I think that's an important conversation as the market gets tighter that we need to kind of, be around. So if we are going to work the database, how do we maximize it with whatever number we have in there, whether it's Command, whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's a box? I think that's a kind of a real conversation, right? And I don't know if you want to share. We had a conversation on what your guys' touch is, because Adam came to us or to me and said, hey, I want to talk to you about some of the things that we do, Popeyes and so forth. I said, cool, let's talk about it. And so we did. And Adam, you shared what you guys were doing. And I don't know if that was beneficial, the conversation on Saturday, and how approaching the database to maximize it, sounded for you, or it might sound for you going forward.
And it was definitely valuable, and I'll let Adam speak on that. But we took the notes and we're actually implementing that immediately. So Adam, go ahead. You guys had the conversation.
Yeah, it was really interesting because we have it laid out and we have to like, oh, how come it's not on paper down? Because we're still tweaking it, but having it there and asking for a second opinion on it, realize it's a lot of just one-way conversation. Yeah, we do the calls and some other things, but it'd be a lot nicer to know if like asking questions for our people, like, hey, are you planning on selling? Do you want to buy an investment property? Do you want to buy? So having a system on how to ask them what they're looking at. So this way we can really focus on who we need to focus on. So for example, if we're going to do a client event or a Mother's Day pop-by, let's ask them to register for it. And if they want to do it, part of the registration process is asking if they want to buy, sell, move, invest, do something. So this way I know who to focus on. Hey, I need to make sure these 10 people, I see them face to face when I drop off this Mother's Day gift. These people who said they're not moving forever, drop it off, take a picture, wish you well, and move on, right? So it's just being very purposeful with your time and who you talk to. So for me, that was like a huge game changer. He's like, you do a lot of one-way communication. I was like, oh crap, we do.
We do.
So now just having a nice little piece of technology to help us focus, it's going to be a game changer. I'm really excited about it.
And I personally heard that with Mark. We were at, I think, Mega Camp, and this is a big reason why inner circles and the more you kind of grow and hear this idea, that idea, and you take action on it is important, because even I'm still I like to attend as much training as I can, because someone that might be doing something at a different level or doing this might change the way I think about it, even though I don't door knock, but maybe what they say or their approach I can implement in my business. And so the idea that we heard at Mega Camp or one of the Keller Williams events was, and we were a victim of this for the longest time. We would have these great, well-attended client appreciation events or just events, and you can talk to whoever you can talk to in the 2, 3, 4 hours that it's going on, but you're not going to talk to 100 people. You're going to talk to the 5 people that you're walking to go here, and then you run into, you go to the bathroom, like that, strategic. So then one of the people said, well, how about if you know the 5 people from the 100 that are going to buy or sell, would that be important? And the answer is absolutely, right? You don't want to you want to obviously be cordial and be nice to the 95, but those 5 people are really the reason why you're having the event, short term at least, right? And so one of the things that we've implemented, and this idea of two-way conversations rather than just sending a mail piece and hoping someone responds to it, what we did is, if you wanted to attend one of our events, you have to go register, right? And part of that registration is you're going to get asked a series of questions to complete your registration, whether you're going or not, which is an important piece, right? So we're asking them, are you thinking about buying? Are you thinking about selling? Are you thinking about investing? Ever thought about, adding to your house? Whatever value that's in our world that we can share, we ask those questions. And whether they attend or not, our goal is to just have them RSVP yes or no. And for them to complete those RSVPs, we then know the 5 people or however many people that maybe have an inclination of selling or testing the market or knowing value in the next year. So when the party happens, I know I'm going to John, Peter, Paul, Mary, right? And those are the people I need to talk to. So on my radar, those are the people that I think one of the books says that you actually bump and you need to be aware of, versus just saying, I had this event and I hope I talk to that right person, and if I do, great. But going into it, knowing that is really an important piece. So as you think about your marketing, right, is it two-way marketing where they have to re-engage with you, and that's going to give you the highest conversion in the short term. The other stuff is long term, right? When you're sending, and we do it as well, where we send some mailers and it goes to 1,000 or 2,000 people, and our hope is that we have 5 to 8 conversations from those. But if we did the same thing and we knew who we need to talk to, obviously it's really it's a game changer, because I'm not wasting my energy on those that are not going to sell for another 10 years.
Remo, do you have a goal for how many referrals you want to get from the invitation process itself?
Our sphere and past client referral is, I think we have it at 20 a quarter. Actual referrals, call my brother, my cousin, my whoever, it's 20 a quarter is what we track.
Let's say you're having a client appreciation party and it's coming up next month, and then you have a process in place that's going to invite a certain number of people to get there, and it's not necessarily everybody in your database. Maybe it's your A pluses and your A's only, or something like that. Do you have a goal for how many referrals you're going to get from the invitation process to that specific event?
Not per event, but our number that we track is 20 a quarter. And because sometimes we don't have an event in a quarter, right? It might be other things, but our goal is to just, again, have them register one way or another. Yes, they're going, or no, they're going, and building that kind of muscle memory for them, where if I'm going to any other event, I got to go to Eventbrite and register and answer these questions. So it's not an actual number, but going into it, I know 20 a quarter. So as a day-to-day activity, we're always counting up from the administrative side, how many past client or Sphere referrals did we get every single week?
And
So that's the number
what would you have to do to double that to 40?
Really, it's more conversations and be more intentional, because even though we have conversations, we're not hitting everyone, or we're not asking, we're not pushing hard enough. And I think part of that is again, getting them used to the Eventbrite, and we've been doing it maybe now for 2 years. So when people register, they know that's coming. So I think as more people get more comfortable to register yes or no, that more referrals will come. And so, or have more events.
And who do you get, where do most of the referrals come from? Is it a specific thing that takes place? In other words, like, I'm tracking all this now for my business. If mine are coming from certain things, like 3 in particular, lunches are a big one. Anytime I'm one-on-one with the person, that's my biggest one. So I'm looking to expand that, and it'll start in groups, right? I could have a happy hour, just like you said, but I have a hot sheet that goes with the people that are coming to that happy hour. So just like you, I'm going to make sure I'm face-to-face with the 3 or 5 key people. And then that's going to lead to a one-on-one something within the next couple of days or week, whether it's a coffee or lunch or whatever. And so what is it for you that's most effective to get the 20 per quarter? What's the activity that's ranking the highest?
Yeah, it's really just being in their face, because they might, even though they want to refer someone at that event, they might not have anyone. But when they talk to their brother, sister, cousin, coworker, I want them to think, oh yeah, talk to my guy, right? That's really the idea. And so it's not like it's one of those things where the event we get 5 for that event or 10. It's really, we want to be top of mind. And I would say most of or half of the referrals don't come through an event. They come through hey, my cousin wants to buy. But they did attend our event a month or 2 ago, and we've been, again, planting that seed. So for us, it's really continue to dominate the market share for our Sphere or close people. And when the time comes, they kind of raise their hand, but consistently ask for that, or letting them know that, to say thank you or to reward us, it's a referral is what we're looking for. And so they then become our little, I don't say robots, but our people that go out there and help us get more business.
A mayor for your business, right?
Yeah.
So what about something like, let me see how to best frame this. So I say to my buddy Ed, who gives us referral business, and I get to know like somebody that he hangs out with on a regular basis. So I want Ed to invite his friend to my thing, and so maybe now it's, instead of the 2 of us going somewhere, it's the 3 of us going somewhere. And there's a very high chance that I'm going to start doing business with Ed's friend. So getting them to invite their like closest buddies to something that's small and intimate has been very effective for me. Do you explore anything like that, or have anything on your annual calendar that's targeted towards letting people invite their best friends?
Yes and no. We pre-COVID, we had we do concerts in the parks where we participate in the city's 7 weeks that they do these concerts in the park. So we bring the pizza, the chairs, the bubbles, the Frisbees for the kids. And we just say, come hang out with us and bring whoever you want, right? Because sometimes people don't want to come alone. Some husband's working, wife's working, what have you, the kids are not ready. So we definitely have had, probably from all our events, more participation from the non-clients to come to those events. And obviously it's we want to control costs as well. We just don't want people to just come to some of our high events like our holiday party just to have company. We want it to where we want them to come, but we don't want to obviously spend thousands of dollars to entertain them when they're not in the market to buy or sell in the future.
I think about that. I forget the guy's name. Warren. It's a Pastor Warren something. And one of the things I think is interesting that he does that could be applied to real estate by referral business is Pastor Rick Warren. That's what it is. He's got like he wrote a book. And then he sends people the book. So he says, okay, look, you want to be like a small group leader, Remo, I'm going to give you a case of 10 books. You get 8 or 10 of your buddies to meet and do these things once a week or once a month at your house, and you promote it and you do it. It's a way for him to build his database, get his books out there, attract clients, but he's doing it on the backs of the other people. So I think you can do, I'm thinking, you're making me think. I'm sort of what I'm doing with my sphere of influence, because once I have an event, whether I'm invited or I'm inviting them, inevitably I start meeting 2 or 3 of their friends, and then you sort of figure out the dynamic of the relationships. And ultimately what I keep finding is there's always somebody in the small group of 5, 6 people that's the one who sort of sets everything up for everybody else to go attend on an annual basis, whether it's a tennis thing, a golf game, a party, getting the wives together, whatever it is. And so it's sort of like building these little independent nucleuses of 5 or 6 people at a time in these groups. And that's sort of how I'm arranging my database and focusing on where I'm going to spend my time. And it's paying off pretty well. Candace she'll be closing a $15.5 million this week. She's getting a $17 million one and a $23 million one just from that activity. And it's very targeted towards people that have, disposable income and the ability to, to do the transactions that I want to do.
That's really interesting. You said that. I've been taking some notes here. So creating groups of people. So tagging your people in your database that actually belong to that group. So for example, I refer to Adam a lot because we work day in, day out together. So Adam does a cigar club, right? So he likes cigars. He picks a place that he smokes cigars at prior to COVID, obviously. And then he'll meet people there, and then he'll add them to the database and tag them Cigar Club. So then anytime he's doing something with cigars or doing a virtual cigar club, we tag those people. So he's actually getting those people to give them more information about other people that might want to join. Is that kind of what you're getting at, is building those people to build more networks of people that maybe you don't know, turning non-Mets into Mets?
Yeah. And I like where you went with the cigar, because coincidentally, that's what happened on Saturday. I ended up going down with this group I'm referring to, and I'm not a member. They are. There's a place called Handguns, and I forgot what it's called. Handguns and Hot Rods and Handguns. It's in Huntington Beach. It's a membership club. You go in, and not obviously, but I guess obviously, the people that hang out in there have disposable income. It's a certain group of people. They all have something in common, which is why they're a member there. And so the ease of conversation, I got, met 4 new people that one afternoon, got all their contact information. I'm meeting with one of them. He's flying his lawyer in from Utah. We're going to meet in the desert this Friday. So it's just amazing what comes out of it. And that's a guy who just sold 2 companies, one for 300 million, one for 200 million. And it's, you can do it at whatever level, but you said cigars and it reminded me of that story, and it's very effective.
So you're lead generating, having a good time. Like you're going to different events,
absolutely
having a great time, and you're actually doing your lead gen while having a great time. So you're living your life and building wealth and your business at the same time.
Correct. And Candace will tell you, when we sold houses together starting in 2002, I was always like that. I was never in the office ever. And I'm not telling you guys not to come into the office, but I was always out trying to meet these groups of people and then continue to hang out with them. And then you just, the skill set becomes like, who do you invite to what and who do you not invite to what? And you may end up creating multiple things. I think Wendy and Tony from CLS Financial are brilliant at it. They've been doing it for years, and that's how they built their entire mortgage company. And they're very strategic about who they invite to what. And, you know, if you think about it, just like running the market center, we would follow suit with that. And we knew that not everybody wanted to come and play 9 holes of golf at Little Rec. But we knew if we had a little dinner thing afterward, we'd get a few more than otherwise we would not. And then we knew some people would rather be out on a Duffy boat cruise. So we did the Duffy boat cruise. We knew some people had children and when they needed to be doing something in the daytime on a weekend. And so we would do things in the park. And, you know, you just have to sort of think about it strategically, not necessarily what I always like to do, but I don't like to be in an office, and I don't like to be locked behind a door. I want to be out somewhere doing something. So yeah, it's a life by design strategy. And if you're in a good mood and you're happy and you're enjoying yourself, I think your energy level has changed, and therefore you attract a lot more people too.
So to do that, you actually have to know information about your people. And then circling back to Remo asking 2-way questions, a set of 1-way questions like, hey, here's my event. It's like, here's my event. Are you coming or not coming? Are you, getting to know a little bit more about your buyers and sellers and the people in your database is really important. And I think Joe Soto does this as well, where he has a information sheet that you fill out when you go to attempt to start working with him. He knows a little bit more about you, like what's your favorite food, what's a great sports team. So he can actually compile those together. So if he goes to his database, he could probably pull out everyone that loves football, right? So when we go to do a giveaway, coming up in the next couple months here, we're going to give away some flat screen TVs because football is going to be starting, right? So let's start advertising that now. We're going to give away a couple free TVs. If you want some, register on Eventbrite, answer a couple questions. Who else do you know that would benefit from having a new 70-inch flat screen TV? Send them this link as well. We'll get to know them as well, adding them to our database. Free TVs. Our TVs are really cheap, so we can give away a couple TVs and actually start building our database. And then we have a follow-up system. I have knowing a little bit more about them from that questionnaire. You're looking to buy, looking to sell. You're moving out feet first on a gurney. I'm never leaving. I could put them on specific smart plans based on that information. If they're never leaving, they're not going to be a buyer or seller, but they're going to be a great referral partner. What information do they need to know? Trusts, right? Maybe attorneys, knowing what's going to happen with their property, with their kids, getting to know them. So I can put them on different smart plans depending on what they're willing to tell me. So
yeah, you figure out a lot too in the process. So and in some cases, like some of the groups I'm referring to, I would never ask them to fill out a form. So, and I think the word there for that is you use your EQ. Make sure you're approaching this with some emotional intelligence. And if that's not your thing, and for some people it's not, then ask somebody who that it is and run it by them. Say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. So in the cases where I don't use the form, I'm still doing everything you just said, Rob. It's a little more organic. So, I could pretty much tell you within these groups of people what their favorite cocktail is, what kind of food they like to eat, where they travel on vacation, what time they like to eat dinner, whether they'd rather hang out on a Friday or a Monday. You sort of figure that out. It's your job to know that. And if I need to put notes somewhere, I will. And in those cases, I will not ask them to fill out a form. I think that would cost me the relationship in some cases. They're just not going to do it. But for many others, they certainly will. And especially if you have a large database and you need to, your thing is a numbers game like a Jeff Cohn where your database is 300,000 people, then yeah, you're probably going to do some more of that on a larger scale.
Gotcha. So what I'm hearing is that you're having conversations with people, and to break it down for some of the agents on here, it sounds like to me like you're using more of a Ford script. You're understanding more about their family, their occupation, what they do, their recreation, and then obviously their dreams.
Yeah, obviously, yep, that's right.
When you get to that dream section, you start really building rapport with them, because when people share with you what their big goals and dreams are, they trust you, they like you. So
yeah, and you're mentioning that, and it's like I could have this mindset. I could be like, well, I've been doing it since 1997. I don't need that Ford script. And to be honest with you, not more than 5 weeks ago, I wrote down the Ford script, had it right here. It's probably somewhere in this piece of paper, and I was just going through it, making sure, because I don't want to wing it. as high strung as I tend to be, it's very strategic. So I was using that the other day just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, because it's not about me, it's about them. That's a great point.
And it's probably taken you quite a few years to, get that conversation down where it just rolls off the tip of your tongue naturally. And that's where the scripts and role play come from, practicing with us here within the office and your peers, so that when you do get out there and you're in a conversation, even in a social setting, you're performing, compared to just winging it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll give you something else. I forgot where I got it. I'd have to go through. I used Blinkist. If you guys don't use Blinkist, it's a great app that that allows you to, read a lot of books without reading a lot of books, if that makes sense. It's an audio and a script Cliff Note app. So it's like $70 a year, and I go through, I pick whatever book. Like somebody I was with yesterday in a meeting was mentioning Og Mandino's book, The World's Greatest Salesman. It's on Blinkist, and in 10 minutes, I know everything this guy knows about the book. And
I think I just read it yesterday. It's like 15 minutes of the best stuff in the book for every book, and then you have a general idea. It's like the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, and so they'll give you like a whole summary. Then they'll give you bullet points on a summary for each chapter. Then they'll give you like a little thing to read, like Cliff Notes, and then it's available on audio. So when I'm riding the cardio bike, I'm listening to these things. So, that's sort of like where I got this information. And so I'm throwing it out there just for some information for folks that hadn't used Blinkist, but it's Blinkist, IST.
Uh-huh.
And what someone said on that one of the books was I thought was interesting in a strategy, because sometimes I'm challenged by coming up with small talk at a large event where there's a lot of people. And then I was thinking, once I heard this, oh, it makes sense why, like on Saturday night, this guy now wants to connect with me this Friday. It gave a strategy. It said, well, if you tell people, a little bit about what you do, what you're currently doing, and then what you're thinking about or what you're doing next, it becomes very powerful, because people tend to be very curious. So if I say, I'm a real estate brokerage guy, and we have about 800 agents, and right now I'm building a title company, but what I'm working on right now is going out and doing some development deals in the low income housing space across the United States. So it's sort of giving them past, present, and future. And you sort of now have widened your scope of appeal to create some interest on their side of the equation. And I think it's good to sort of refine that story, if you will, so that the words we choose can sort of turn people on or turn people off.
That's really past, present, and future. That's really interesting. So the real estate conversation it gets a little boring after a while. You're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. It gets played out, and it's a little boring. So that would be another great script to master, to be able to create better conversations around people, to get them more interested in you and actually what you're doing.
And you could tweak it a little bit. What if you said, instead of, do you want to buy, sell, or invest? Give me a story of the best real estate investment you've made in your life so far. And what if they haven't invested? Then, unfortunately, a lot of us have a story where we wish we would have invested in something, but we didn't do it. And now we look back and wow, that turned out to be a gold mine. Like I was looking at property 4 years ago in Yucca Valley, things were a little bit flat. There was thousands of properties on the market. COVID hit and other factors came into play, and those markets have exploded. And a lot of people have a story of, would have, could have, should have. But it's another way then to create a little bit of pain, get the story from them, bridge the gap, and then give them some consultative questioning to get them prepared to actually pull the trigger on an investment with your leadership.
Dennis is clapping. That was pretty awesome, right? We're all taking some notes here. So based on what we've heard for the last 40 minutes or so, somebody shoot me out like an aha. What is one thing that just kind of really stuck out to you, that because of the conversation we had in the last 40 minutes, you are moving forward doing what?
Maybe just be strategic with the moves that you're making. Like as of lately, especially this last year, or since the world started opening up, my meetings with people are intentional. I'm not just really just, not that there's a purpose of a meeting, but there has to be a purpose to the meeting. And so I that just really resonated with me, just networking. And a lot of times we think lead gen is hard work or a chore, but I like the way David kind of put it. It doesn't have to be. You can have fun with your family and meet people and network, and it's still lead gen. My lead gen, when I think of me, is cold calling or stuff like that, and it seems like a chore some days, but it doesn't always have to be.
Yeah, awesome. So any activities that's moving toward that appointment is a great activity. So what else? Who else got something that was pretty awesome that they wrote down that from today moving forward, they are going to change something in their business or change something in their activities that's going to lead them toward a better goal?
Hey man, it's Joe. I got two quick things that Remo said. One was, how do you convert the now business? And I think that has to do a lot with being intentional. So what he said, I do a lot of Zooms and client appreciation stuff, but asking who do they know that's looking to buy, sell, like asking that question and planting that seed. I thought that was gold, Remo. So I'm going to add that to all of my Eventbrites because I live on Eventbrite as well. But it's all about intent and asking. If you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So taking more shots for sure and asking for that. So thank you, Remo.
Awesome. What else? Alexandria. I love calling you out. How are you? What is one thing that you might have heard right now that you're moving forward with? Because I know you just did your first event a week ago that was successful. Any tips that you heard just now that you might want to incorporate?
Yeah, I think it was more of just asking like, who do you know, or what was the best investment that you did in real estate, instead of asking just like, oh, who do you know, and refer like, what was the best investment that you did in real estate? I think that was an interesting take on how to ask a question and for them to think about it.
And then be surprised when they don't invest. It's
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, you don't own a home? That must be painful. Wow. Let me help you with that. Adam, what'd you get?
Just asking better questions. You know, you could only ask, you're right, you could only ask questions. So, who do you know you're looking to buy or sell so often? So you're getting to know your people on a deeper level, or just asking a similar question in a different way.
Awesome. Okay. Rosie, what about you? Rosie. All right, one more. Let's shoot one more. What's some
Can I say something?
You can always say
It's
something.
Candace. I was gonna say, I love when they're registering, asking them those questions. I think that's a good little nugget to do. I definitely want to do that. I think that's awesome.
Gotcha. And that was the big takeaway that we got from Remo last week when Adam spoke with him, was not only just asking those questions, but once they answer those questions, I have a specific plan of action. A, you're meeting them at the event, and then B, they should be on a specific SMART plan. They're thinking of possibly buying or selling or moving or relocating. Let's get them some more information about that. And that way it's, I have something to follow up with them too.
I could add something to that too, because I loved what Remo said. It's a great strategy. And there's another one that can be done through social media by making a post and maybe just on your past experience of the people that you know that are in your sphere. If you guys notice, there's always a couple of people out there that if I make a post on Facebook and I say, hey guys, I'm going to Palm Springs this weekend. Does anyone have any suggestions on a place to stay or a restaurant to go to that you really like? And the ones that reply and say, I love Palm Springs, are different than the ones that say, you know what, I love Palm Springs and you should go to Featherhead Restaurant and go talk to Sarah. She's the manager there and they have a great martini between 4 and 6. The people that answer in the second way are the ones that are the referring type in their DNA. And those are the ones that are in your SOI that you're going to want to spend the 5 minutes with or 10 minutes with. at your larger group functions because they're the ones that are built to refer.
All right. So for the people who didn't get that, can you repeat that one more time? Because that was really powerful.
So if I make a post, if I did a post on Town Center, I mean on, not Town Center, not Town Center, Firestone, and I said, hey, I'm going to Universal, Studios, wherever. And somebody says, I love Universal, been there 10 times. It's different than if someone says, oh, when you go to Universal, park here for an extra $5, you can get VIP. And when you go in, go say hi to Joe, who's the manager at the restaurant or hotel, and make sure to try out their apple martini. And the one that answers the second way with all of that detail and knows the people's names that work at certain places, they're the ones that are that are wired to be referring type folks. And you probably now can think of your people in a little different way. Oh yeah, I do know so-and-so. They're always the one that know exactly where to go and call so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. When they have those kinds of details, it's definitely not the first time they're telling that story. They're telling that story over and over again, and they're referring people to go there. And they will do the same
Would you
thing.
find that to be more of a high I?
The tendencies can be that, sure. Yeah. Yep. Or an ID or a DI, and sometimes the DI and the ID change when they're in a business versus social. They have that flex, I know people that are DI and you give them a couple drinks and they're ID. So on the social side of things, that there can be that kind of bandwidth. But yeah, definitely, I would say for sure, mostly the eyes, which is good, Rob, too, because percentage wise, I think eyes are like 69% of the population. It's the largest group out of the DISC profile. D's are like 6%, I's are 69. I think the S's are in the 20s, and 16 or 17 or whatever the remaining math is are the C's. So it's probably a lot of them out there.
So why don't we all do this? Why don't we all, between now and the end of the weekend, post some sort of question on a social media platform and see who interacts in that way, and then have them be a target of an advocate of yours. Anyone that's going to be a high I that talks to a lot of people that are very influential, you want them to be on your side. They're the ones who are talking to more people. So when anyone mentions real estate, let's get them on some sort of program or referral basis where it's like we're pouring into them and inviting those people to places, asking them to bring some friends, because they will. So that's a great suggestion. I wrote that down. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. It's worked for me and others. Anything I can find that's helpful, I'll throw it out there.
Gotcha. What else? Is there somebody has an issue right now, something that's going on in their business, maybe a challenge that they're having that, on this forum that we could help maybe overcome something or answer a question that you might not have an answer to?
I have, hopefully it's not going to be an issue, but I'm actually going to be doing my final walkthrough with my client tomorrow. And we're renting it back to the seller for 29 days. And then, but then the only thing is that we did not put in a deposit for the seller to put down, and then, a refund of the deposit. So now I'm just kind of a little worried, how this is going to pan out. But, the seller's pretty much got everything in boxes and stuff. They're trying to find a place to rent while their house is being built. So the keys are supposed to be turned into the buyer in 29 days.
And your fear is that if they do not move out in 29 days, there is nothing to supplement the buyer as far as why they're there?
Yeah. And then, Mark Rico gave a good suggestion to do the visual inspection, like a second one for that, when the seller vacates. But I don't know. I'm just like, how is everybody dealing with something like that? And I know generally the seller will put a deposit. Deposit.
Yeah, typically we would have the seller hold back some sort of funds as a security for the buyer, and that's usually understandable. And then if they're not out by a certain day, then we're charging them obviously a per diem per day to go ahead and continue leasing that property until they move out. or
Mhm.
just the security factor that you have some cash just in case something else happens to the property within those 29 days. You know, they might damage the property, something might happen that needs to be repaired or fixed, because another walkthrough, you want to make sure it's in the same condition as you closing escrow as well.
Yeah,
Anyone else have some other suggestions in that case? I mean,
I guess I'm kind of like, I don't have leverage at this point.
you do
you
not.
Yeah,
Uh,
lesson learned for that one.
when are you closing?
I'm closing on Monday, and we're doing the final walkthrough on Thursday.
Well, you still have time
yeah.
to have that conversation. I mean, is the seller and the listing agent and the buyer open to having that conversation about possibly still leaving some cash in escrow? I mean, it's not too late to have that conversation and make an adjustment to that.
Okay, because they've already signed the loan doc. Doesn't even, I don't know if that matters or not, but they've already signed the loan docs. But yeah, I mean, I haven't, brought it up to my buyers, and I don't want them to get worried as well,
Gotcha. Well, have a conversation with the listing agent and the seller. I mean, if I was a seller, that sounds reasonable to me. I mean, the worst case they could say is no. Without having the conversation, we definitely know the answer is no. So I'd have a conversation with the listing agent and say, hey, what are your thoughts about this? So that my buyer feels comfortable, just in case the unforeseen happens and they're not out in 29 days, we can go to this process and make an amendment to hold some cash back. I don't think that should change anything on your closing.
What is a reasonable ask for, holding back that money?
A reasonable ask a reasonable ask for the deposit or a per diem per day?
Yeah, deposit and per day.
I would, if it was me personally, because I've done this, I would ask for a minimum of 10,000 to be held back in escrow, and then the per diem would be whatever their house payment is. Take whatever their mortgage payment's going to be divided by 30, and that would be at least covering their mortgage while they're there.
I would just do whatever the 1 month's rent, because if technically, you can't have it be more than twice the whatever the rental amount would be, which would be the mortgage amount, right? So whatever that would be. So if their mortgage is 5,000, let's just say, that's what I would ask for. And then the per diem is exactly what Rob said, was the whatever their monthly payment is broken out per day.
Okay.
There you go. That sounds good. So find out what their mortgage payment's going to be, times it by 2, and ask if they'll hold that back in escrow. And usually, I mean, it's not an unreasonable request. And we're just having a
I
conversation.
married a broker, so I can just go to the next lead.
They're so crazy.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we're 1 minute over. Thank you so much for joining us on the Inner Circle. I'm hoping you're getting a lot of value out of this. If you are getting value out of this, invite some friends. They don't have to be a part of Keller Williams or this office to participate in Inner Circle. We want to go ahead and continue to grow the education in the minds of all agents and bring value to them, so that they see that Keller Williams and our company at Pacific Estates is the place to obviously bring their business and partner with us in their future. So invite them to that. Continue to plug in. We got Red Day tomorrow. We got the Color of Law tomorrow afternoon. We got fishing on Friday. We got a lot of things coming up, and a lot of tech training as well. So definitely continue plugging in, and we appreciate being in business with you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Okay.